This is every type of ship explained. Cargo ships. The container ship, the backbone of global trade and arguably the most important vessel in human history. Everything you own, everything you've ever bought, everything sitting on a shelf at your local store almost certainly arrived on one of these. They carry standardized metal containers stacked high above deck like an enormous floating game of Tetris, and they do it across every ocean on the planet every single day. The largest ones are so big they can carry over 24,000 containers in a single voyage and are too wide to fit through the Panama Canal. The bulk carrier, a large, unglamorous workhorse of a ship designed to carry loose dry cargo like grain, coal, iron ore, and cement in massive open holds. No containers, no packaging, just raw materials poured directly into the hull in enormous quantities. Not exciting, absolutely essential. The Ro-Ro ship, short for roll-on roll-off, which is exactly what it sounds like. Vehicles drive on at one port and drive off at another. Cars, trucks, buses, construction equipment, military vehicles. If it has wheels and needs to cross an ocean, a Ro-Ro ship is how it gets there. The car carrier, a specialized type of Ro-Ro that does nothing but transport automobiles, stacked across multiple internal decks like a floating multi-story car park. Some carry up to 8,000 vehicles in a single trip. The reefer ship, a refrigerated cargo vessel built to transport perishable goods across long distances. Fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy, pharmaceuticals, anything that would spoil on a regular ship travels on a reefer. And the barge, flat-bottomed, slow, and usually pushed or pulled by a tugboat rather than powering itself. Barges handle enormous amounts of cargo on rivers, canals, and coastal waterways, and do it so quietly that most people never think about them at all. Fishing ships. Not to be confused with fishing boats. We're talking about large-scale commercial vessels that head out to sea for weeks at a time, operated by professional crews and responsible for putting the overwhelming majority of the world's seafood on your plate. The factory ship catches fish, processes them, freezes them, and packages them entirely at sea before ever returning to port. Some handle hundreds of tons of fish per day. Floating fish, processing plants, operating in some of the most remote and brutal waters on Earth. The purse seiner deploys an enormous net around an entire school of fish and cinches it closed from the bottom like a giant drawstring bag. One set of the net can capture hundreds of tons in a single operation. Fast, efficient, and devastatingly effective. The longliner deploys fishing lines stretching up to 60 miles behind the ship with thousands of baited hooks attached at intervals, targeting deep water species like tuna, swordfish, and halibut. And the trawler, a large, powerful, ocean-going vessel built to drag enormous nets through the water or along the ocean floor for hours at a time, hauling in massive quantities of fish in a single run. These are serious working ships, built tough, built wide, and designed to handle the kind of conditions that would send most people straight back to shore. Crewed by people doing one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet, and doing it miles from anywhere. Here's a question worth thinking about. Where exactly does a fishing boat end and a fishing ship begin? There's no clean answer, but our boats video is a pretty good place to start figuring it out. Link in the description. Tankers. The oil tanker. One of the largest and most recognizable ships on the ocean, and the vessel responsible for moving the majority of the world's crude oil and petroleum products from where they are drilled to where they are needed. The biggest ones are called ultra-large crude carriers, ULCCs, and they are genuinely difficult to comprehend in terms of scale. Some are over a quarter of a mile long, take several miles to stop at full speed, and carry enough oil to fuel a small country for weeks. They are slow, they are enormous, and they are absolutely everywhere. The chemical tanker, similar in concept to an oil tanker, but built to carry liquid chemicals and products in bulk. These ships have multiple separate tanks on board because different chemicals absolutely cannot be allowed to mix with each other. One wrong move and the cargo becomes extremely dangerous extremely quickly. The LNG carrier. Designed to transport liquefied natural gas at temperatures of around minus 160 degrees Celsius. To keep gas in liquid form at that temperature requires some of the most sophisticated engineering on any commercial vessel afloat. They're immediately recognizable by the large spherical or rectangular tanks visible above deck, and the LPG carrier. Similar to the LNG carrier, but transporting liquefied petroleum gas. slightly less dramatic than its LNG cousin, but no less important to the global energy supply chain. Passenger ships. The cruise ship. A floating city. There is genuinely no other way to describe it. Modern cruise ships carry anywhere from 2,000 to 9,000 passengers, stand over 20 stories tall, and come equipped with restaurants, theaters, casinos, water parks, ice skating rinks, and in some cases, actual shopping malls. The largest cruise ship currently in existence, Icon of the Seas, is so big it makes the Titanic look like a rowboat. They are engineering marvels, logistical nightmares, and somehow one of the most popular vacation choices on the planet. Every single day, thousands of people willingly choose to spend their holiday on one, and the overwhelming majority of them have an absolutely wonderful time. The ocean liner, often confused with the cruise ship, but fundamentally different in purpose. Where a cruise ship exists for the journey itself, an ocean liner exists to get you from one place to another as quickly and comfortably as possible. They are built to cross oceans in all conditions: stronger hulls, more powerful engines, higher sides to handle rough open water. The most famous ocean liner ever built was the RMS Titanic, which needs absolutely no introduction. The most famous one still in operation is the RMS Queen Mary II, which crosses the North Atlantic between New York and Southampton, and does it with a level of elegance that makes flying feel deeply inadequate by comparison. Naval and military ships. The aircraft carrier, the undisputed king of the ocean and the most powerful military vessel ever built. An aircraft carrier is essentially a floating Air Force base, carrying dozens of fighter jets, helicopters, and strike aircraft that can be launched and recovered at sea anywhere in the world. The largest ones, the American Nimitz and Gerald R. Ford class carriers, are over 1,000 feet long, powered by nuclear reactors, and carry a crew of over 5,000 people. They are so powerful that the presence of a single one in a region is considered a significant geopolitical statement. Just parking one off your coastline is a message. The battleship. The predecessor to the aircraft carrier and for centuries the most feared vessel on the ocean. Massive, heavily armored, bristling with enormous guns capable of firing shells the size of a small car over 20 miles. Battleships dominated naval warfare from the age of sail all the way through World War II, after which aircraft carriers made them largely obsolete. Most have been decommissioned and retired, but a handful survive as museum ships, sitting quietly in harbors while tourists walk their decks and try to comprehend what they once represented. The destroyer. Fast, agile, and built for hunting. Destroyers are medium-sized warships designed to escort larger vessels, hunt submarines, and respond to threats quickly. They are the workhorses of any modern naval fleet, not the biggest ship in the water, but often the busiest. The frigate. Similar to a destroyer, but generally smaller, lighter, and built for a wider range of missions, including anti-submarine warfare, patrol, and escort duties. If the destroyer is the workhorse, the frigate is the all-rounder. The submarine possibly the most psychologically interesting vessel on this entire list. A submarine is a warship designed to operate entirely underwater, invisible to the enemy, capable of launching torpedoes and, in many cases, nuclear ballistic missiles from anywhere in the ocean at any time. Nuclear submarines can stay submerged for months at a time, limited not by fuel but by food supplies and the mental endurance of the crew. The idea that these things are out there right now, silently moving through the deep ocean, is equal parts impressive and genuinely unsettling. And the amphibious assault ship. A hybrid vessel that functions as both a warship and a floating military base, capable of launching troops, vehicles, helicopters, and landing craft directly onto a hostile shoreline. Essentially, a smaller aircraft carrier that trades jets for Marines. Offshore and industrial ships. The drill ship. A vessel designed to drill for oil and gas in deep open water where fixed platforms can't be built. It looks like a regular ship from the outside but has a massive drilling tower mounted in the middle of the deck and a hole straight through the hull called a moon pool, through which the drill string descends thousands of feet to the ocean floor, doing a job that most people don't think about until something goes catastrophically wrong. The crane ship. Fitted with one or more enormous cranes capable of lifting incredibly heavy loads at sea, used for installing offshore platforms, salvaging wrecked vessels, and any job that requires lifting something very heavy in the middle of the ocean. The largest ones can lift over 14,000 tons in a single lift, roughly the weight of the Eiffel Tower. and the pipe-laying vessel, an FPSO, two of the most specialized ships on this list. One slowly and methodically lays pipelines across the ocean floor, carrying oil, gas, and data cables across thousands of miles of open water. The other, the Floating Production Storage and Offloading Unit, sits permanently anchored above an offshore oil field, extracting, processing, storing, and offloading oil entirely at sea with no pipeline to shore and no fixed platform. Between them, they represent some of the most remarkable and least celebrated engineering on the ocean. Research and specialist ships. The research vessel. Purpose-built for scientific study at sea, equipped with laboratories, sampling equipment, and space for a full team of scientists. Not glamorous, not fast, but responsible for most of what we actually know about the ocean. The icebreaker. Built to navigate frozen polar waters that would destroy any conventional ship, with reinforced hulls and a sloping bow designed to ride up onto ice and crack it from sheer weight. Russia operates the largest fleet in the world, including several nuclear-powered ones, because apparently regular icebreakers weren't dramatic enough. And the hospital ship. A fully equipped floating hospital used in military operations and humanitarian disasters, protected under international law, painted white with large red crosses, and not permitted to be attacked under any circumstances. One of the few vessels on this list that exists purely to save lives and asks for absolutely nothing in return. Boats move people, ships move the world, and now you know every single one of them.